Okay, so a very good morning to all of you. I formally welcome Dr. Nishant Kumar, who is assistant professor at IIT Jodhpur in the Department of Electrical Engineering. So I welcome Professor Nishant Kumar, sir.
Thank you, sir.
He has basically done his PhD from IIT Delhi. So before going to start the session, I would like to uh, know about this. I would like to ask about this FDP to our guests. Basically, this FDP is sponsored by AICTE Atal, AICTE Training and Learning Academy. We have around 120 participants in this registered in this event, and we are having experts from the various IITs as well as NITs and some regional colleges also. So, with this, I would like to introduce Dr. Nishant Kumar, sir. Sir is an assistant professor, as I said, at IIT Jodhpur. Before joining IIT Jodhpur, he has a postdoctoral research fellow at the National University of Singapore (NUS), Singapore in the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering. He has completed PhD from IIT Delhi, as I said, in the Department of Electrical Engineering, where his PhD thesis has awarded to the best thesis award at IIT Delhi. His PhD thesis has also awarded to the first prize in IEEE IAS Thesis Contest 2020. Moreover, during his research, he has received POSOCO Power System Indian National Award in doctoral degree and ISSS PhD Thesis Award 2020 at IISc Bangalore. Sir has also completed his MTech from this NIT Durgapur, where the university had awarded his research work to the gold medal in front of President of India, Sri Pranab Mukherjee. In between his MTech and PhD, he had worked as the project engineer and research associate at IIT Bombay and IIT Delhi. He had completed the bachelor's degree from Silicon Institute of Technology, Bhubaneswar, where he was awarded to the Best Technical Student Award. Recently, Nishant sir has felicitated by IEEE and IEEE Senior Member and by the DST Government of India to Young Scientist Award to present India in the fifth BRICS 2020 Young Scientist Conclave, which held in Russia. Moreover, Nishant sir has received the Outstanding Young Professional Volunteer Award by IEEE India Council. He is fellow member of the Institution of Electronics and Telecommunication Engineering IETE Society and editor in few IEEE transactions. He has more than 60 publications, including 25 IEEE transactions and 8 Indian and US patents. His research interest includes optimization algorithm development, renewable power generation, microgrid, smart grid, and application of adaptive control and optimization in power and energy sector. So, with this rich background, academic background, and research background, I would like to invite Dr. Nishant Kumar sir to please share and present yourself. Thank you. Please, Nishant sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you for beautiful your introduction.
So one more thing which I would like to tell you, Nishant sir, that we are having the blended of participants. We are having participants from the different background. Basically, although most of the participants are from electrical engineering background, specifically in power systems, but many of them has also from the other background like mechanical. Some are from electronics, some from communication and control engineering, like that kind of thing is also. So. Please kindly do your presentation as usual like this one, so that we everyone could be able to understand.
Yeah, sure.
Please,
I
Nishant
will
sir.
try. Yeah, sure. I think my screen is visible to everyone.
Yes, yes, it is visible clearly. Okay, all right.
Okay. Uh, Good morning, everybody. First of all, before going to start this session, first of all, I'd like to thank the organizing committee members and all the volunteers related to this AICT sponsored FDP program. Uh, especially for, especially I'd like to thank Dr. Ganesh sir for giving me this opportunity to interact with you all, especially in this beautiful session, which session is based on the integration of renewable energy. So, lot of speakers are here, so definitely you will go through all those speakers and you will learn about the different types of renewable integration with the grid. But today I will discuss about the integration of renewable and with the vehicles. And this is not a hypothetical concept. This is already running concept in European country. All these things I will discuss and how this renewable is integrating or using in electric vehicle market. As well as we all know that the electric market is in India exploring or we can say going up with a very high speed, and everyone is moving towards that. So, so I will discuss about these things. So first of all, I will start from the basic line. So electric vehicle, what is this electric vehicle? Already we all know that the very simple thing is that just we are going to replace all the mechanical engines, or you can say combustion engine to electric motors. That is our electric vehicles. This very simple line concept is this. So just replacement of combustion engine to the electric motors, that is our electric vehicles. And definitely here as a fuel, we will use some electric power. Electric power, maybe this will store inside the battery, or maybe we will generate by using any generator, or maybe by using any fuel cell, or maybe any other type of energy storage devices we can use, just like compressed water and whatever. So like this is a very basic line of the electric vehicles. But the question is that why today we all are thinking about this electric vehicle? Is anything new here? Why today we are more concerned about these things, and today we are thinking about these things? If you will look back and you will see the future, or we can say the past history of the electric motor, then you will see the motor, mainly especially induction motor. Induction motor is available in our society from 1830s, or maybe you can say 1890s. That time this motor was on the peak level. So, and we all know that motor rotates, and also inside the electric vehicles, all the wheel rotates. So very clear, we can say the similarity is here. But in between also, so many different industry has tried to integrate these things or use these things, but those gone. Only today we are thinking about these things. So if you will think about the core reason why today we are thinking about this, especially it depends on our financial things. Whatever new concepts comes in market, the concept will applicable, or concept will, all the concept or all the technology will come in the market only when we will see some financial impact. Without financial impact, all the technology, especially I'm talking about the mechanical and electrical technology. I'm not talking about the medical science, especially mechanical and electrical based technologies. These technologies will applicable, or we can say the popular in market only when we will see some financial impact. And today you can see the financial impact of that. So for example, you can see on your screen how this things is significant in current situation, not in the current. Here I consider the petrol is 80 rupees. On average side I have taken, but in almost in everywhere in the country, the petrol price is more than 100. So you can think like that. If you are thinking for petrol is 100 rupees per kilo, per liter, then petrol per kilometer is around 6 rupees per kilometer. You will see that in the petrol car. Similarly, in the diesel engine and CNG also, you will see these are the number, means 4 rupees per kilometer, 2 rupees per kilometer. But in the electric side, where I consider the 6 rupees per unit, right? So this price is based on the daily side. So the cost is 0.7 rupees, or we can say 75 paisa per kilometer. And here we can see this is a very significant advantage on the commercial side, and this is the main motivating factor. That's why today we all are thinking about this. But again, the question is why this is today. So two main causes here. The first is we can say the price of the fuel, price of all the petroleums. Usually we can see that. So on this curve, you can see that how the demand, the red one is our demand, and the blue one is the production. How the demand is day by day increasing and the production is day by day decreasing. I'm talking about the global level. I'm not talking about the country level. So if you will think about the global level, and currently we are here, and from this point, this will continuously go down. These are the forecasted graph, and similarly, on you can see on the red side also, this is going continuously on the upper side, and here you can see the serious gap here, but day by day this gap is going to increase. Since these gaps are going to increase, then definitely this will directly play a role on price, because this is totally based on the demand and supply system. This is totally based on that. So this gap direct gives a clear idea. So in future, the price is going to rise on a very high level. So that's why today we all are thinking about this. So what are the alternative we have? Alternative in the terms of electric vehicles, alternative in the terms of renewables, alternative on the other side you can say the different type of generation, just like you can say tidal, geothermal, we can say the marine energy, also different type of sources we all are thinking for that because of this deviation. Similarly, the more other impacts you can say the pollution. This is also one consequence. If we are thinking about this renewable and the integrations of the renewables. Another is our climate change. This is today. This is also a very serious issue because of the climate change. You can see how the global level this Earth temperatures is increasing. So initially you can see the Earth temperature, the average Earth temperature I'm talking. So ground temperature was the minus 0.2 degree centigrade, but currently see on this curve, so this is around 0.6 in current situation, and this increment of this ground temperature, this is average ground temperature on the global level I'm talking, not on the country level. So this is increasing, and this it will directly uh, it create one significant serious impact on the all the glaciers, all the pools, and all the different mountain region also. So and this will increase our the ocean level. So this is also one of the serious issue. So why we are thinking about renewables and other things. Another you will see the advantage of this electric vehicle is in the terms of efficiency also. So one clear comparisons you can see on this curve. Clear comparison for this fair comparison, I have taken the two things very similar on the generation input side. So here on the input side, I have taken the petroleum, and output is our vehicle. In both situations, you will see I will use the petroleum and run our vehicles, and then we will see the efficiency. For example, this is a well. Through this well, we are going to generate our petroleum, or we can going to extract our petroleum. The extracted petroleum will go in the refinery, and here we will refine, and after the refinery we will transmit to the market, and then you will see here what is the efficiency of this refinery and as well as transmission system, petroleum transmission system I'm talking about that. So when you will see that this, you will see this the around here the efficiency is around 80%, and when you will use this energy, or you will use this petroleum on your vehicle, and then you will move your vehicle, then you will see the vehicle means inside your combustion engine, you will burn your petroleum, and you will move your piston, and through this movement of piston, your vehicle will move forward. So here you will see this system is around 16 to 17% efficient only. So overall you will see this is around 13%. Also you can compare like this. On this input side, you will see some chemical energy, which is inside the crude oil. So what amount of chemical energy you have, that is your input side. And output side is your kinetic energy. Since our vehicle is moving, so here we will get some kinetic energy. So the kinetic energy, what we have, and just divide to the petroleum energy or chemical energy, then you will see the efficiency. Then clear efficiency, you will see around 13% in the mechanical engine side. Similarly, if you will use the same crude oil, I'm not talking about the coal or nuclear or thermal or renewable, just I'm talking about the same crude oil. When you will use this crude oil and you will burn inside a power generation system, here refinery is not required, directly we can burn our crude oil, and then you will generate the electricity. This generating system is around 33% efficient, and then generated power we will transmit from the plant to the market. So this transmission system I have taken 94% efficient, but sometimes, but in practical situation, it is always more than that, means the 98, 97 or 96% efficient. But on the lower side, I have taken 94%. Then you can see this power generation and the power transmission is around 31% efficient. When you will use this 31% energy in the vehicle, and then you will see the vehicle is moving. So here again, this power conversion means the electrical energy you are pulling on the motor and the motor runs. So here you will see this is around 76% efficient system is this one. So overall this is 23%. Again, chemical energy, what amount of chemical energy we have and what is the kinetic energy here. So kinetic energy divided by your chemical energy. Then you will see the 23% around, you will see this efficiency. And through this, we can see this clear gap or significant improvement here. This 10% improvement in the this system is the electric vehicle side. These are the things today motivating to think towards these things. But the question is why today? Again, because this system is 76% efficient. Why this is 76% efficient today? Because we have a strong power electronics. Because I will in later slides I will discuss the impact of the converters and requirement of converters, controls, driver circuits, and the motors. So today these all the technologies on our mature level. So because of the mature technology, this system, this electric vehicle circuit, mainly we can say, is able to work efficiently, and that's why you can see this system is 76% efficient. So these are the motivating factor here. And also here I have used the crude oil. Just you assume on the place of crude oil, suppose you are going to generate here power by using solar panel, maybe by using wind or maybe tidal, then what will happen? Then you will see the significant, you can say, improvement, or we can say significant impact of this electric vehicle system on our overall society. So, but another question is here: by using this electric vehicle, is really electric vehicle solution is going to solve the pollution issue? It will depend on the condition. If you will think this power we are going to generate by using any thermal power plant, then definitely it is not the solution. Especially for I'm talking about the pollution side. If you are going to generate this electricity by using any thermal or by using any nuclear or any other fossil fuel based generating system, so these things are not going to solve our pollution issue. Or indirectly we can say yes, we are not going to solve the pollution issue, but we are going to shift our pollution from society or we can city to a remote location. But this is not the right way. If we all want to solve this pollution issue on the global level, so here integration of renewable is very important. If only when we will integrate more and more renewable, then only this issue will solve, this the pollution issue on the country level. Otherwise, for example, in Delhi, today we all are facing a lot of pollutions. Just you assume tomorrow everyone is going to start using electric vehicle, then what will happen? Definitely Delhi will clean. But when everyone will start using the electric vehicles, then power demand will increase. And then in India, around 50 to 60% power we generates by using coal-based thermal power plants. So when this demand will increase, power generation demand will increase, then thermal power plants will start generating more and more power, means start burning more and more coal. So that time you will see the pollution on the thermal power plant, which is on the remote location, will increase. Definitely, this in city you will see this is clean, but on the remote location it will increase. So indirectly you are going to say, but this is not the right way. Only when we will integrate the renewables, different types of distributed energy resources, distributed energy generating plants, then only we can say on the global level we are going to control the pollution. So that's why this integration is very important. Okay. Now coming back to the classification side, how the This is not a, especially I can't say this is the classification. I can say this is the transmission, or you can say the translation of these electric vehicles. So how these electric vehicles are going to come in our market. Whenever a new concept comes in the market, two things very important. One is the your customer confidence. Customer confidence is very important for the selling purpose. If the customer have enough confidence, then only we can sell a new product. The first thing. The second is the infrastructure. The infrastructure is there or not, and do this infrastructure and consumer confidence both are interrelated to each other, and change convert we can say the improvement of all the conventional infrastructure to a new infrastructure, it takes some time. So here this transmission is very important and the translations is very important. That's why the conventional system, means conventional combustion engine, is not going to change to a direct electric vehicles. No, it is not like that. For example, if you will go and sell to anyone or just to tell to everyone to start taking these electric vehicles and use these electric vehicles, no one will take the interest, because the question is here. The first question is the consumer side. I am talking about the buyer side. Very simple question is there. So if I will operate my electric vehicle on a remote location and my battery will discharge, then what I will do? So this is and this thing shows that the customer had not that much confidence, right? And this will and this is just like a fear. Okay, I'm a remote location and my battery will discharge, then what I will do? And here requires something which gives some confidence. That's why the hybrid is the best way. So the first of all, the combustion engines are going to replace to a hybrid engine, and then the next time it will replace to a pure electric vehicles. And this hybrid means inside this electric vehicles you will see the two type of arrangement. One arrangement is the battery based or electric motor and electric battery based system, as well as parallelly a combustion engine based system you will see on the vehicles. This is the one way, but this type of system will be little bit costly, because two type of engine you will see inside the one vehicle. This is little bit costly. Another way is that just you will see one generator. For the worst conditions, one generator will inside the vehicle. On the worst condition, the generator will burn the fuel and generate the electricity, and that generated electricity will use on the motor. So that is the cheaper solutions, you can say like that. So the hybrid, inside the hybrid, these two type of system you will see. The one fuel with the combustion engine, or fuel with the generator, and this one is the motor and battery system for this electric vehicle. So this type of system you will see inside the hybrid one, and this will give the confidence. This will mature the customers. So okay, if your battery is charged, then you can go with that. But when your battery is discharged, then you can go with the other way also. So you can burn your fuel and then generate the electricity, and or you generate the power, mechanical power, and run your motor and like that, or run your vehicle and like that. And also this hybrid system will give some time as well, so that all the private players or the governments will change this conventional system or conventional infrastructure to to a new infrastructure. Because when we are going to use electric vehicles, what it means, we are going to supply more and more electric power in our society. In current situation, you can see in our house what is the current rating. This is around 5 to 6 ampere, right? And in worst conditions, you will see 10 ampere for the heavy loads, for example, refrigerator or washing machines. You will see the 10 ampere, or extreme cases, you will see the max to max 18 ampere, 20 ampere, which is on the extremely higher side. I'm talking about that in as a household load. But when we are thinking about these electric vehicles, then electric vehicles are going to come with a different type of charger: fast charger, super fast, ultra fast charger. What is the meaning of this ultra fast, super fast? Meaning simple is that the more and more current this type of system will draw from the grid. When more and more current will draw, then you can then you can understand here. In current situations, 20 ampere is the highest one, but on the electric vehicle side, ultra fast charger, it sometimes it takes 500 amperes, 500 amperes for charging. So for this type of, if we are thinking about this type of charging infrastructure, then here definitely require a new infrastructure. New infrastructure means a new type of transformer, because this current will directly create some impact on our transformer, because inside the transformer that type of cooling arrangement will require, as well as the transmission line also. The transmission line for those type of current also will require. So the complete change will require in one body, we can say like that. So it takes some time. So that's why this hybrid is very important, and it will give the enough time for that. Okay, now coming back to our topic. The topic is the classification of electric vehicles, how we can classify in current market. So in current situations, you will see the mainly three type of electric vehicles are running in the on a commercial level. I'm talking about that. These are the three types of electric vehicles you can see on the commercial side. The most popular one is this one. Just when you will see the battery bank inside the vehicle, and you will see the electric motor, and this motor will run by using this battery power, and this is the one type of electric vehicle. So this is the most popular one, cheaper one, and highly I will not say the reliable one, but this is the less complex, or we can say the initial electric vehicles, we can say like that. In India, this is going to integrate on the first phase. And the second one, the most reliable, we can say, but little bit costly, that is this one. Fuel cell based electric vehicles means inside the vehicles, we will see the fuel cell as well as hydrogen cylinder. Inside the hydrogen cylinder, we will store the hydrogen energy, and this hydrogen energy hydrogen will fall on the fuel cell, and the fuel cell will generate the electricity, and then that generated electricity will be used on an electric motor, and then car will run. And this is the future of electric vehicles. Not today, just after the 20 or 25 years, you will see everywhere in our society, this type of electric vehicle will be the popular one. And just like a petrol pump, that time also you will see one petrol pump, but on that petrol pump, we will not going to fill our petrol tank. That time we will fill our hydrogen tank. And this is the most reliable one also, because inside the hydrogen cylinder, you can store huge amount of bulk amount of hydrogen, and that hydrogen you can use on your vehicle according to your requirement, according to your situation, and all you can see like that. But in current situation, this is a little bit costly technology, since these fuel cells is a very costly thing here. So that's why this is a little bit costly. Another is our hydrogen extraction. Hydrogen extraction principles are very simple, but this is we are thinking about a compressed hydrogen or hydrogen in a bulk amount. So 2-3 things will required. The first is the compression technology. Another is our storage. What type of storage we can use, because this hydrogen is also a very dangerous thing. So those things are still under the investigations. So researchers are working on those things, those areas, and that's why this technology is little bit costly nowadays. But still, commercial vehicles are available on that. In few developed country, if few hydrogen energy based vehicles are available in market. The third one is the solar powered electric vehicles. Solar powered electric vehicles means here on the vehicle side, on the top of the electric vehicles, not on the top of the electric vehicles, the upper part of the electric vehicles, this upper body of this vehicle will be made of solar panel material. I'm not talking about the solar panel we will install on the rooftop of the vehicle. Just here, this upper body will be made of solar panel, and then this upper body, when it will move or it will interact with the sun, then it will start generating some amount of power. Definitely, this generated power will not sufficient to run this vehicle throughout the day. This is not like that, because here it will depend. First of all, the first limitation is the size of this vehicle. This is a bigger limitation. Another is our shape of this vehicle. The shape of vehicles will always depend on the aerodynamic principle, so that the minimum amount of thrust will create on the vehicle. So definitely the design will according to that. So we are not going to change those things. Then we have a limited area. So this limited area, the solar will limited area, all the metallic body will replace to the solar panel materials, just like a thin film solar panel or many high efficient monocrystalline solar cells we will use for that. So on that situations, you will see this will generate the some amount of energy. Here, this amount of energy will depend on the type of uses. Suppose someone uses his car for office use only office use. I'm talking about that. Means the morning you are going office and the evening you are coming back, and whole day your vehicle is on a open space. So definitely throughout the day, this panel will generate the electricity, and that generated electricity you will store inside the battery. So that time we can say this solar-based system is sufficient for your purpose. Means this generated power is sufficient for your vehicle to move, go office and come back and like that. But if someone is using this vehicle for commercial use, means throughout the day this vehicle is moving in our society and transporting the passengers from one location to another locations. So that time that energy will not suffice. But this will help. This will depend on the location and depend on the uses. It will help 20 to 30% of the energy, total energy generation. So in this system, you will see the battery bank as well as solar body of the vehicle. So here minimum 20 and the maximum depend on the your use to 20 to 30 on average side. On commercial vehicle, you will see this type of panel will help or generate the power for daily uses, or we can say for daytime uses. Daytime means especially for 7 to 8 hour uses. I'm talking about that. Okay, and this type of system or this type of concept is not a hypothetical concept. This type of vehicles are available in our market. For example, you can see on your screen, this is one solar powered electric vehicle or solar powered electric car. This is a Lightyear Dutch company. They make this type of car. You can check on the website. So this type of cars are available in Germany and also in the Denmark and some other European country also. These are little bit costly, but this here the upper body you will see these are made of solar panel, or we can say high efficient solar materials as used here on the rooftop of this vehicle. So like that. Also you can see this is one way of that. Another is 100% powered train in Australia. This is running train in Australia, which is totally based on the solar power. So here the space is large. So you can see here these panels are capable to move this generate the power for this train on a significant amount. You can see like that. Also some other companies are also working in this area. For example, Toyota, you can see these things. Also the Sozo and the DYD. This is the public transport, or we can say the public bus in the China as well as in the Germany. You can see this type of vehicles you will see where the upper side the solar panels have installed, and these panels are able to generate bulk amount of power and like that. So different companies are also working in this area. So how we can use this solar material to generate power on the vehicle like that. Okay. Coming back on the control side, how this control works. So if you will think about the control side, then the first layer is the solar panel, which is on the rooftops of this vehicle. So this is our solar panel, and this solar panel will attach with one DC-DC converter. And DC-DC converter, because we all know that the solar panel or solar generating system is a variable power generating system. Means the power will depend on the operating voltage. I will discuss in the later slides how it will depend. So the power of any panel depends on we can say depend on the operating voltage. Whenever you will change your operating voltage, your power will change. So here required a device which will fix this panel to operate on a particular voltage where the power is maximum, right? So that's why an algorithm will require. That algorithm is known as maximum power point tracking algorithm, and this algorithm will give the information about the voltage, and this DC-DC converter will try to operate this panel on that voltage where the power is maximum. So that's why this DC-DC converter will require. This is one converter you will see for maximum power, or we can say power extraction from this solar panel. This is one converter you will see. Okay, the extracted power will on the DC bus. This is our DC bus. The extracted power will come on this DC bus. Okay, on the DC bus you will see we will attach our another converter. This is DC to AC converter. Since I am assuming here the motor is a three-phase induction motor, or maybe any AC motor, so that time you will see DC to AC converter, or suppose this is DC series motor, then this will DC to DC converter. So like that, according to the type of motor, the another converter will use here. For example, here I have taken the AC motor, so this is DC to AC converter, and this DC to AC converter will convert the power, and here the power conversion will depend with a variable frequency, you will see, because we know the frequency or speed of the motor depends on the frequency and pole. So we can't change the pole, then better to we can change the frequency. So here we will convert this power, DC power, into AC for this motor, right? So, and according to the use, the motor will consume the power. But the question is, sometimes, not sometimes, it is not necessary what amount of panel is going to generate the power. That power is sufficient for this motor. Maybe sometime the generated power is more than that, especially when the vehicles are not moving, and or we can say sometimes maybe this power is not sufficient for this motor, especially when these vehicles are moving or running on a high speed. So both condition here required some another support, that is our battery bank, and this battery will connect it with this DC bus with a bidirectional DC-DC converter. Bidirectional DC-DC converter means when on this bus the power is higher, or we can say the available power is more than the motor required power, then that time that power will be used for charging. So that time this DC bidirectional converter will charge our battery, right? Especially when vehicles are not moving. So that time it will charge. And when vehicles are moving with high speed, then that time this power will not sufficient for this motor. On those situations, this battery will discharge and support to fill the demand here. What is the power demand on the motor side? So that time you will see this will discharge. So that's why here bidirectional DC-DC converter you will see. So the third converter is this one. And the fourth converter you will see here, that is AC to DC converter. This converter also you can see the other name, and you can give the another name, just like adapter, just like a charger. This is just a charger in one word. Since it is inside the vehicle, so that's why we can say this is onboard charger. Or maybe you can take out of this vehicle, so that time you can say offboard charger. So both type of charger is available. Means in the night time when the solar panel is not operating, then that time who will charge this battery? Then better way is that use the grid power and charge your battery bank. So that time the AC to DC converter will require, and this converted DC power will charge our battery, right? So this four type of converter you will see in one electric vehicle, right? So that's why I was talking. So why today we are thinking about that? So because of these converters, today we have a very robust power electronic switches as well as driver circuits and all the control mechanism. So today all these things are on a mature level. This technology is very mature. That's why today everyone is thinking about this this complex power electronic circuit based power control mechanism. Okay. Okay, when you will think about this this converter, I'm talking about this converter, the converter which is attached with the solar panel and the DC bus here. Then this converter may be buck converter, maybe boost converter, or maybe buck boost converter. Any type of DC-DC converter you can take, but the selection of this converter will depend on the panel rating, panel voltage rating, and DC bus voltage. Suppose your panel voltage rating is higher than the DC bus voltage, so that time you will see here we are going to use our boost converter. Sorry, this voltage is higher and this is lower than that. That time we are going to use buck converter. But in the reverse situation, we will use the boost converter. And suppose if you are not sure about that, or you can say this voltage rating and this voltage rating are almost same, so that time we will use the buck boost converter. So any type of converters we will use here. So this is the buck boost converter type of arrangement. And input side you will see the PV panel, and output side you will see this is our DC bus side, or we can say DC bus line, and this is the controller. This controller will decide the operating voltage and operate the solar panel on a particular voltage, and which will generate the maximum power to operate this system and all like that. Okay. So why this MPPT algorithm will require? The basic thing is that I think most of you also know that. So the power and the voltage relation for the panel. So this is the power and voltage relationship. This blue line or blue curve, you can say like that. So this is inverse parabola curve, you can see. In this inverse parabola, you will see this is the peak point. Or this x-axis is the voltage, or y-axis is power. Means if you will operate your panel on a, suppose this voltage, for example 15 volt. So what it means? It means you will see this much of power. Similarly, if you will increase the voltage, then you will see this much of power. Similarly, if you will increase the voltage, then you will see here some higher power. And then again, if you will increase further, then it will decrease also. So in these situations, the maximum power structure is very important, because also we all know that the panel efficiency is very less. It is around 20% on commercial level. So if panel efficiency is 20%, then here the extraction of those 20% is very important, and for that purpose, operate the panel on a particular voltage is very important. Then only we can say, okay, we are going to operate our system on a highly robust side or on a maximum operating points and all. So, okay, so for that purpose, this MPPT algorithm is very important to operate this panel here. Okay, so if you will think about the relationship means the voltage and current, or voltage and current with a different situation, because this is the characteristic, and this characteristic is not a fixed characteristic. This characteristics is the function of solar irradiance and temperature. When environmental temperature and solar irradiance will change, these characteristics will also change, go up and down accordingly. For example, you can see on this curve. So here, when your solar irradiance is something else and your operating temperature is something else, then you can see here the power is higher. But when anything is changing, maybe radiance or maybe temperature, then it is going to down, then it is going to increase again. So like this, when these things will change, then this will change also. And in 2D diagram, you can see like that. For different solar irradiance, this is the situation. And in these situations, you can see here, these are the maximum points, or we can say these are the operating points where we are going. If we will operate our panel on these voltages, then only we can say we will extract the maximum power. Otherwise, we are going to lose some power. And you know that the panel efficiency is 20%, and if you are going to lose again some, then it will decrease your panel efficiency, overall panel efficiency, we can say like that. So that's why operate on a particular voltage where the power is maximum is very important. But question is, how we will decide these things? Definitely by using some tracking algorithm, we can do that, because this characteristic is not in our hand, because this characteristic is the function of solar irradiance, temperature, as well as a dust layer on the panel, humidity, and the wind speed. So all this, as well as the edges also, means with the time, what are the impact of the water droplets on the edges of the panel. So these all play some major role to decide these characteristics. And these characteristics, we can't say what will be the characteristic at what moment, right? Because all the environmental parameters we can't sense exactly, right? Means you can't sense the temperature simply. What temperature you will take? Temperature above the panel will something else. Temperature below the panel will something else. I want junction temperature, right? Junction temperature, and this will depend on the junction temperature, and like that. Similarly, the dust layer, how you will measure the dust layer on the panel, right? And it will also, the panel is not a flat generating plant. Panel is a combination of different series and parallel combination of cells, right? So here the information required on cell level, one solar cell level. So this is a completely a difficult task to design, to draw these characteristics on a practical setup, right? So some other technique will be required, and definitely the most popular one is the P&O. Mostly we all know that the most popular technology. This is nothing new here, right? So by using the P&O, we can do these things. Okay. Suppose this is the circuit. In this circuit, this is the battery bank of the vehicle, and this is the panel, and this is our boost converter. And this boost converter will regulate the voltage here to operate the panel on a particular voltage. Which voltage? Voltage where the power is maximum, right? I will discuss how we can track that, okay, without measuring these environmental parameters. I will discuss those things. But here, this regulation, for that regulation, voltage regulation, this DCC converter is important. So here, if you will think about the importance of this converter, two way we can say. The first way is this converter will force the panel to operate on a particular voltage where the power is maximum. This is one way I am talking. But if you will think about the physical significance, what is the physics behind this, and why we are going to use this DC-DC converter, so then I will say this is because of maximum power transfer. And we all know that when the power, at what condition power transfer will maximum? According to the maximum power transfer theorem, when the source impedance will equal to the load impedance, then only the power transfer will maximum. That's very simple one. In this situation, here the source impedance and this is the load impedance, right? If both will match, then only power will transfer will maximum. So here this DC-DC converter we are going to use for impedance matching. Means that this DC-DC boost converter will add some virtual impedance on the source side to match the load impedance. So that's why we are going to use this DC-DC converter. Means indirectly we are, not indirectly, directly, by using this DC-DC converter, we are going to regulate the source impedance and match with the load impedance. Then power supply will maximum. This is the basic use or basic physics behind this boost converter or DC-DC converter. But how it works, how it regulates. Through one example, we can see that. For example, I have taken here boost converter, and if you will think about the relationship between input and output voltage in the boost converter, then this is very simple. V out equal to 1 minus D into V in. What is D? D means duty cycle. Duty cycle means the time interval for the operating time interval of this switch. Duty cycle. Duty cycle means T on means for what time instant this switch will on divided by total time. What is the meaning of total time? Total time means T on plus T off. For what time instant your switch will on, for what time interval your switch will off. So when you will add that, then that is the total time, and the T on divided by total time is duty cycle. So this input and output voltage is the function of this duty cycle, and it is the function of this switch operating intervals. We can say like that. If you will rewrite these equations, we can say the output terminal is battery, or we can say output terminal is vehicles. Then you can say vehicle battery is here, V battery equal to 1 minus D into V input. Input side is panel, so this is V panel. We can say if you will shuffle this equation, then you can say equation is like that: VPV equal to 1 minus D into V battery. Just you assume here for time t, V battery is constant 200 volt. Just you assume this is a constant voltage on the output terminal. So if you will change your duty cycle, just you see, if I take 0.1, then you will see the voltage, PV voltage is 180. If I will take 0.5, this is 100. If I will take 0.8, this is 40. Means just by changing this duty cycle, I can change this operating voltage. Means in the through this duty cycle, I can set the operating voltage, and that voltage will according to the maximum power. Maximum power means this point, right? So indirectly we are going to match this voltage by changing the duty cycles here, right? Okay. If you will think about the technology behind this, so a lot of different researchers have published a lot of different technologies also. So, but out of all those technologies, the most popular one is the PNO, pattern and observe. And mostly, I think you will also know about these things. Nothing is new here. Pattern and observe MPPT technique. In this MPPT technique, this technique only works on the power value of power and the strategy. Only two things is important here: amount of power, or we can say the change in power, and the strategy. And the strategy is also very clear. Strategy is increment or decrement. Increment means increase the voltage or decrease the voltage, and it will monitor what change in power. Power is increasing or decreasing. Only two things is here: increase or decrease the voltage, and which is a strategy, and the monitoring thing is power is increasing or decreasing. That is the part here. Simply you can start from any point. For example, I am going to start from this point. Suppose I will start from this point, then you will see here when I will operate on this, what it means when I'm going to start from this, what it means that I'm going to operate on this voltage, x voltage, and when I will operate my power system on this voltage, then I'm going to get this power. When I will get this power is on the y-axis. Then I will record that voltage is this is the voltage, and this is our power. That's it. I will note down those things. In the next step, I have two options. I can increase the voltage or I can decrease the voltage. Anything I can choose. For example, I am decreasing the voltage. What will happen? Sorry, not decreasing, I am increasing the voltage. Suppose I am going to increase the voltage. Increase the voltage means x-axis I am going to increase. When I will increase the voltage, I will start operating on different point. And on the new point, I will get the new power. And this new power I will compare with my previous power. What was the power previously? This much, and the new power is this much. What it means power is decreasing. What was the strategy? Increment of voltage means that I have increased the voltage, my power is decreasing. Power is decreasing. This is not the objective. So what it means? It means my strategy is wrong. So what I will do? I will just change the strategy. Previous strategy, but increment of voltage, this time I will decrease the voltage. Okay, currently I am here. I will note down this power, I will note down this voltage and decrease the voltage. When I will decrease the voltage, then I will back to here, and then again I will see a new power. And then again I will compare. This is new power, this is the previous power. Power is increasing and voltage is, I had decreased the voltage. It means I am going in the right direction. My strategy is correct, my power is increasing. So next time again what I will do, I will just decrease the voltage. I will get the new power. Again I will decrease the voltage, I will get the new power, and in each step I will see power is increasing or not. Power is increasing, then I will follow that. Power is decreasing, sorry, voltage is decreasing, power is increasing. Voltage decreasing, power is increasing. So at this point also, I don't know the characteristics, right? So again I will decrease my voltage. When I will decrease the voltage, I will go here. And when I will go here, then I will realize, no, at this moment my power is decreasing, right? So what it means, power decrement means my strategy is wrong. What was the strategy? Strategy was decrement of voltage. So this time I will increase the voltage. When I will increase the voltage, power will increase. So what I will do? I will further increase the voltage. When I will further increase the voltage, I will go here. And like that, after that you will see your voltage or your power is oscillating on this point. This is three-step oscillations you will see, and this is perturb and observe, right? Means you are perturbing, means you are perturbing this voltage, and perturbing means you are increasing or decreasing your voltage in part, and monitoring your power or observing your power. Observation means your power is increasing or not. That's why the name is perturb. Perturb related to the input variable, or we can say the voltage, and the observation is here power. So this is perturb and observe technique. So also this technique is also known as three-step oscillations. means the three-step operations, because at the end it will start rotating in here. Okay. Also, if you will go in the waveform side, then you will realize that on the waveforms you will see three-step clear oscillations. You will see here, right? So this is the pattern when observed. This is current, voltage, and power also. Inside the power also you will see three-step oscillations, and this is your selected duty cycles like that. So the duty cycle also rotates, sorry, oscillates in between the 3 points and like that. Okay. But question is, this technique, this conventional technique, which is the most popular one, is applicable only when the solar characteristics is like that. Means this characteristic have one peak. When the characteristic have one peak, then this type of technique is very good for that. Means we can use those technique, and the technique will come on the peak and start oscillating here, and power system will run on a good position. But in practical condition, in the real life situation, you will see the situation is like that. Means your vehicles will move in society, right? When these vehicles will move in society, then what will happen? Then you will realize that shadow will fall on the vehicles, right? The shadow may be the shadow of tree, shadow may be the shadow of tall tower, buildings, different types of shadow you will see on different vehicles, right? If your area is more dense, then shadow will also critical. That's it. We can't say so our vehicle is going to move in our society or city without shadow, right? So 90 to 95% time, definitely you are going to face some shadow. Sometimes you will see the shadow of your neighboring vehicles also. Means one vehicle is creating shadow on another vehicles. This type of things is also you will see. And when a shadow falls, see the characteristics. Here in these situations, when sun is interacting with this panel directly without any obstacle, no obstacle is here in between, the characteristics is like that. If characteristic is like this, means characteristic have single peak, then you can use any P&O or any INC or any classical technique you can use for tracking. But see this situation, when vehicles are moving in our society, then definitely tall building, towers, any obstacle, tree, buildings, something will come in between, means the between sun and the vehicles. And then you will see one shadow on the vehicle. When the shadow will fall on the vehicle, then these characteristics will deteriorate. So you can see these characteristics. In this characteristics, you can see different peaks or multiple peaks you can see like that. Right? Similarly, if the obstacle will change, suppose the new obstacle is here, new type of shadow will fall, or new type of area will occupy on the panel, and the area will change, then again the pattern will change. Means the area or shadow or the pattern of shadow will decide the characteristics, and the characteristics consist multiple peaks. And in this situation, right, in this situation, an optimal operating point, searching an optimal operating point is extremely a difficult task, because in these situations we have multiple peaks, right? So out of all these maximum peaks, definitely one peak will be the highest one. So I have given the name, the highest peak is global maximum power point, GMPP, we can say like that. Which peak is highest? Which peak is the on a higher point? So that is GMPP. And rest all peaks we can say LMPP, local maximum power points, or local maximum power peak, we can say like that. Similarly, in this characteristic, this is that point. For this characteristic, this is the GMPP, and these are the LMPP. Right? And also, we don't know what type of patterns are going to fall, or what type of shadow is going to fall on our beacon, right? So this is a very challenging thing to track here, this operating point. And here, very clearly, I want to show here all your classical techniques, for example, P&O or INC will not work. Suppose here, if you will use the P&O, then what will happen? P&O will start tracking for this, and when P&O will get this peak, and it will stuck on that. P&O will not bother about this peak is LMPP or GMPP or what is. Whenever P&O will get the peak, it will stop on that. This is the situation. So that's why all the classical, or we can say all the deterministic optimization based, all the tracking technique. P&O is also a deterministic optimization technique. So all deterministic optimization techniques are good only for single peak, where we don't have any obstacle or any shadow on the panel. So for this situation, that those techniques are very good. But for these techniques, for these situations, these are not the right way or right technique to search like that. Also on the vehicle side, another issue is change in pattern, right? So since this vehicle is moving means vehicle is running with a particular speed, and when vehicles are running means the shadow which are falling on the vehicle is also changing, and change of shadow is also occurring with the speed of vehicle. When vehicles are changing, then these shadows are also changing, right? When this when suppose your vehicle is moving with a very high speed, then you will see this shadow will also change with a very high speed. When the vehicles are moving with a very less speed or slowly, then you will see the shadows are also changing with a slow speed. So here the change in shadow is a function of velocity. Clearly you can see here. Suppose this is the shadow, and since this vehicle is moving with a speed of velocity v, then you will see that this is changing with the velocity of v. And this pattern change, you will see it's the velocity of v. One pattern to another pattern. So this is v, and like that. So here the tracking is a very difficult task on a running vehicles, because these vehicles are running with a very high speed, right? Okay. So in one word you can say, okay, I will not run my vehicle in a society. I will run my vehicle only on a open space. For example, you can say I will run my vehicle on a highway, right? On highway, my vehicle I will run my vehicles. So what will happen if you will run your vehicle on the highway? Then sun will directly interact with your panel, and the characteristic or solar power voltage characteristic of solar panel is consists of single peak. Is it? No, it is not like that. That type of situation is only for your rooftop solar panels, because rooftop solar panels are flat. But this time on the vehicle, this panels is not flat. This you can see a clear curve on the panel. These panels are not a rectangular flat panel. These are curved panel. Panel means when the solar light will fall on the panel, then the reflected lights from the curved area will cross the other radiation area or radiation zone and create disturbances. Since this panel, or since this structure is curved, then you will see here multiple peaks. Again it will start, or it will consist of different solar irradiance on different zone. For example, here solar light is falling here directly, so definitely here in one word it is looking higher, but here you will see solar light is falling, then from this point light will reflect and cross this light. Similarly, from this light here the light will reflect and cross this line. So all will cross each other, and you will see that because of this curved structure, we can't change this structure, right? Because the structure of any vehicle is according to the aerodynamic structure. If you will change the structure, then your amount of thrust here, or we can say amount of air drag force which are going to appear on your vehicle will increase, right? So we can't change the structure, and the in general structure is curved, and because of the curved panel, this again you will see the multiple peaks when we don't have any disturbances. This is also a very serious thing on the vehicle side, right? That's why always you will see on the rooftop panels are always flat, always rectangular shape or maybe square shape you will see, but flat always. But here this will not flat, this is curved, and because of that again the PV characteristics will consist multiple peaks, right? And this is not the issue only on the vehicle side. Also, if you are in the snow area, then again, because of this snow, you will see that your panel will consist of some shadow. Shadow maybe because of the tree or maybe the snow here. If we are in the desert area, sometimes people say, okay, we will place our panel in a desert area. See the dust storm. Because of heavy dust storm, always on your panel you will see a layer, dust layer. Okay, so and also you can give one another logic. So I will use the brush for cleaning, but definitely you will set some frequency, maybe the frequency of 15 minutes, maybe frequency of 30 minutes, when your brush will move on this panel and clean the panel. But in between, what will happen? And we can't say in the desert area air will not blow. When the air will blow, then a heavy dust layer you will see on the panels, and these dust panels always creates some. Just one second. So yeah, the in desert area also always you will see some dust layers on that, and this dust layers again creates some serious disturbance on our characteristics, consists multiple peaks, and this is the issue not only on the our rooftop panels or the panel which we are using on the earth. Also, the same type of issue is on the robots also. For example, you can see here, this is the rover. On this rover is on the Mars. On the Mars rover, because of heavy dust storm, NASA has reported this issue. You can see how the dust layers is on the panel, and then here the power generation has is decreased in amount of 20% around. So this is a critical issue. So for in these situations, and a good tracking algorithm will be required so that we can track the global maximum power point where the situation is totally dynamic, or we can say where the situation is totally volatile. Volatile word I'm using here because of because of environmental condition, because we don't know the change of this shadow, change of the wind, and all will play the role here, right? All will play a strong role on the shadow side, right? So here we got a good tracking algorithm to track the maximum power operating point. Then only we can efficiently we can use our panel, right? Also, what type of variations you will see? Mainly two type of variations you will see. The most common one is that when your area, when the shadow area will change, or say area intensity will also change, then you will see on different time instant different types of pattern will occur. For example, here 0 to 1 second, this is the pattern, and because of this type of shadow, and then you can see here your maximum power point, or we can say global maximum power point is on the right hand side. But in the pattern 2, you will see this in the middle, right? And the here, the third pattern, it is on the left hand side, which is on the most right side. So like that, you can see most left side, sorry, here. So different times, different pattern, and different pattern, because of you will see different type of characteristics. This is one way, and this is the most popular one, and these type of things will occur. But the question is time here. At what time these new patterns are going to occur? In ideal condition, on every moment it will change. In every moment, these things will change. But but we will think about the significant change. We will look on the significant change. Okay. I will discuss those things also. What will be the time interval for changing one to another? Okay. For this type of tracking, for this type of issue, or for this type of characteristics, when you will look back on the literature, so you will see different techniques have been used here to track the global maximum power point. Means find this GMPP. Different techniques have been used here, so you can see here. But the issue is there when you will go on the different literatures, then you will see that according to NERL report, National Renewable Energy Laboratory USA, considerable solar radiance change occurs in 1 second. As I told, solar radiance will changes on every moment, but considerable change occurs in 1 second. So here we had to finish our search within a second, means 1 second. If your searching algorithm is taking more than 1 second to finish your search, it means you are not going to operate your panel on a maximum power point. Because after the 1 second, a new type of characteristic will occur. When the new characteristic means new searching problem, then again change, again new problem, new characteristic, new searching zone, new searching area, new searching problem. So here, this is a highly dynamic problem, we can say, or online searching algorithm is like this. And that's why I told, when you will go back on the literature and then you will see out of all those literatures, because these literatures are very old, these are very old literatures, that's why that time this type of regulations were not in market. So when you will go on those literature, then you will see only one technique that technique is floor population optimization algorithm. One researchers have published. According to this technique is able to detect the GMPP, global maximum power point, within 1 second, and the tracking time is 0.85 seconds. What it means? It means that 85% time this technique is going to invest for searching. Only 15% time this system will operate on maximum power. So this is the meaning of this: 85% time for searching, 15% time for the full stack operation. Right? So this is the thing here. But this is not the right way, or this is not the optimal way to use any panel, because already the panel efficiency is very low, around 18 to 20%. So in these situations require some other technique where we can improve this time, or we can decrease this searching time and increase our working time. So for that purpose, definitely this is a online searching algorithm. So in this searching algorithm, the objective function is power. Objective function is power means this is the power. PV power means our key objective is improve maximum power of the panel. So this objective function is very simple. And this P power, PPV is the function of, not function, this is the multiplication of PV voltage and PV current. And this PV voltage and PV current is the function of duty cycle. As you change your duty cycle, means operating voltage will change, a new voltage and new current will occur. And this multiplication of both will give the new power. So this is the objective function. And here, this is the function in this equation is the function of duty cycle. So this is D, this is the constant. And constant means duty cycle, which will be in between 0 to 1. And this is the formulation of this issue. And here, definitely, we will again go with a new meta-heuristic optimization technique. By using a new meta-heuristic technique, we will try to improve the time. Improve the timing means reduce the searching time. So for that purpose, I have developed here one new technique. This technique is known as human psychology optimization technique. This is the technique through which I try to improve the time. So this new time human psychology optimization technique, this is based on mental and psychological status of an highly ambitious person. Means this technique works on the mental status of an ambitious person. Before going to take any physical action, how an ambitious person decides or generates some positive energy on the mental level. If you go back, go in this area, then you will realize these are the 4 factors. One is the excitement. This is the inherent nature of any person. So excitement is excitement for new task. Okay, this is a random energy, you can say like that. And it depends on our mood, it depends on our health, it depends on our behavior. It's a totally random behavior. Another is self-motivation. Self-motivation depends on our past experiences. If we have some past experiences about a new related to the new task, then it will motivate to go for that. Another is inspiration. Inspiration means if we know someone who have done something bigger in this area, then also those things inspired us. So how we can start, and these things give some positive energy on the mental level. Similarly, the fourth one is the lesson. Means if we know someone who have done some mistakes and he got the failure, so what was those mistakes, and this will also give some idea so how we can start. So these are the four mental, or we can say psychological status on a play a role on a psychological level inside an ambitious person before going to take any physical action. These are the mental things. Okay, and through this we will generate some positive energy, positive mental energy. We can say like that, and it will motivate to start our task. Okay, this is that. But after generating this energy, we will go with the two cross check. One is the over excitement, another is depression. Maybe because of this high energy, sometimes energy crosses the boundary, that is overexcitement. During the overexcitement, if the situation is like that, then through compressing the energy, we will push back in the active region. And some other maybe depression. Suppose someone have no idea about anything, and if someone has a big fear for new task, then that time a depression will create. So that time, through providing an encouragement, through providing a support, external support, the again the energy will boost up to operate in active region. So this technique is totally based on that, and it works accordingly. Through one example, you can understand clearly. For example, this boy, this is young boy. He want to be a good athletics. Just he going thinking. He had not started anything. Just he thinking he want to be a good athletics. So what are the things will come in his mind if you will think like that? The first is excitement. Since he is slim, since he is young, he have good health. So these things giving some excitement. Okay, I am healthy, I am young, I am slim. Okay, so I can do this. This is excitement. Another is self motivation. Since he is thinking for be an athletics on national level, right? But in past experiences, if he had done something on school level or maybe college level, I'm not talking about the state level or national level, in anywhere, if he had done anything, small thing, so those things will again give some self motivation. Yes, school time I have done that thing. Definitely, the competition on the school is something else, and where he is planning, his competition is something else. But some self confidence, some self motivations will come through that. Another is inspiration. If he knows someone, if he knows someone who have done something in this area, what was the strategy, and so through that he can inspire. Okay, what was the strategy for that? What was the preparation, and how they start taking? What was the revolution? What was the motivation, or continuity, or dedications? So all these things of a winner will inspire to start. Another is lesson. What are the mistakes other had done? What are the mistakes other had done? So those mistakes also give some idea. So not what to do is important, but as well as same time what not to do is very important also if you want to be a success. So all these four factors will play a better role on mental level to start or decide the final strategy or final action. So this algorithm, what I have done, I have developed. So this is totally based on these things. Okay. Also on the searching time, searching intervals, also you can see like that. So here you will see the one random energy. This is excitement. These are the five searching agents which will search the optimal duty cycle for a optimal operation, right? In each iteration. So you will see here, this is the excitement. In this excitement, this is a random energy, this is excitement. Okay. Another is self-motivation. In the past iteration, suppose this iteration is I, then I minus one iteration. what was the performance? So that performance will give some self-motivation. Okay. Another is inspiration. According to the better performers agents or better performer populations. So these populations will again inspire the green line. Another is relations, what the mistakes other are doing, which is just behind to this. So those things will give some relation factor. So through combining all these four energy factor, finally the final strategy will generate. So through this, like this, in each iteration, these agents will iterate or update and move accordingly. So if you will go with equations, how we will proceed. So for each energy factor, I have calculated or we can say derived the equations, the psychological equations. So the first is excitement factor. This excitement factor is the function of enthusiasm factor, omega, you can see like that. And here you can see this is the exponentially decay functions, means it is continuously decreasing with the iteration number, and this is totally based on our practical behavior. Means when we start any new things, then that time you will see you have a good excitement, but when you will do the same thing again and again, same thing, then you will realize your excitement is decreasing. Definitely, at the same time, your confidence, same time your maturity, or same time your knowledge, everything is increasing. You are more expert on those areas, but your excitement decreases when time goes. If we are not going to vary anything, if you are not going to change anything, just doing the same thing again and again and again, means randomness decreases. So this is totally based on that. You can see this curve is decreasing with the iteration, right? And this is good for the settlement also. If this is decreasing, then only you can say at the end, when you will go for the final solution, then inside the final solutions you will see the less variation, right? Another is self-motivation factor also. It will depend on your the previous iteration performance. So this is the function of the spirit factor. So it is according to that. Similarly, the inspiration factor. Inspiration factor again based on the all the good performers. Here again, this inspiration factor I have derived in three parts: low influence, moderate, and high influence. The concept behind low, moderate, and high is, suppose someone is related to belongs to your family, or suppose someone you know someone who have done best or who have done better, and you know him personally, so that time your influence will very high, and then that time you can understand everything very clearly, right? But at the same time you don't know about a winner. You only through the magazine, through the news, through the his interview, you are learning, and then you are going to start. So that time the influence will be low. So that's why I derived here low, moderate, and high influence. So closer one will give high influence, and if someone is far away from you, so that will influence you low, and like that. Similarly, in the relation factor also, if someone has done some mistake and you know someone personally, on the personal level, if you know someone, so that time you can clearly understand what was the circumstances, what was the situation, so that he had done this mistake, and easily you can understand those things. So that's why I've given the high consciousness factor for the closer one, but the low consciousness factor, if you don't know someone who personally, then that time the relation or inspiration, or sorry, relation factor or consciousness factor will be low. So I derived on the three part here. Okay, at the end, all the consciousness factor, influence factor, and everything will concise. Here you can see that these are the vectors. So this is self-motivation, sorry, excitement factor. This is self-motivation. These vectors are inspiration vectors, and these vectors are the relation vectors. Lessons means the negative energy. So all will combine together, and then you will see these are the vectors, and then we will add up all those. Then a new, or we can say by using these things, we will update the duty cycle, this duty cycle to updated duty cycle. Again, this is the final equations, we can say. So in these final equations you will see the two random number First is lambda 1, another is lambda 2. These are the two random number you will see. In these two random number, so this is inspiration factor, this is self-motivation, excitement factor, self-motivation, inspiration, and elation. Elation is negative energy, so I have taken here minus. And these are the two random number, lambda 1 and these are the lambda 2. And then finally through these equations, we will update all particle in each or all searching agent in each iteration like that. Okay. These here you will see these all the equations are the function of omega, right? But at the end you will see these all are linked with each other, and here finally one variable you will see in this equation, and this is omega, and the range is in between 0.1 to 1 and like that. Similarly, and after each iteration, again all the energy will cross check over the overexcitement and depression factors. You can see like that. If energy generated or updated or duty cycle or updated variable have higher energy level, then that time we will suppress some energy and then push back in the active region. And during the depression, you will see if energy level is low, then that time add some extra energy and push back in the active region like that. So this is the situation. And another new thing is here. Here all population will not going to participate in the next iteration. Just like our life, when we are moving from one stage to another stage, on the new stage we need new portions, or we can say the new colleagues, and then that time in new environment you will face the new competition, new competitors you will see in your new place. The life is like that, right? So new competitors in the journey of life, right? So here this is also like that. When we are moving from one iteration to another iteration, in the next iteration you will not proceed with all previous updated particles. No, we are not going to like that. Here we will categorize all updated particles in three parts according to the performance. The green one third green good performers. These are the good performers or top performers. They are one third of that. And the another one third to two third. These are the orange one, the average performers, and the red one is the poor performers, two third to last. So these are the agents, or we can say populations, and like that. Then what we will do, these poor populations will not proceed for the next iteration. So that this time we will change to a new one, and this new one will generate by using the crossover and mutation process. So you can see here, by using the heuristic crossover and heuristic mutation process, I have generated the new chromosomes, and these new generated chromosomes will replace the all poor performers, and then this updated new set of variables will proceed. Okay, so this is the flowchart. In this flowchart also, this is looking a little bit complex, but it's not like that. They give the rank. After the ranking, go for all the updation, calculations, excitement, self motivation, lesson, inspiration. Then again update all particles. Then go for the energy check over excitement and depression. Then we will go for the according to the rank new one third new chromosome creation or generation. So new population will generate and update, and this after that the new set or this set will go for the next iteration. So in each iteration these things will go. That's why you will see the searching time is going to decrease because of this compact searching behavior, right? Okay, whatever I have derived, I have not uses this thing directly on the vehicle or directly on an experimental setup. Before this, I have also gone through all the benchmark test. On your screen, you can see that I have tested on unimodal benchmark function, multimodal benchmark function, and the fixed dimension multimodal benchmark function. So total 23 benchmark functions I have considered for comparative study. So here you can see the other 23 benchmark functions, and these are the comparative performance: HPO, GWO, PSO, and DE. So I have compared with this GRAVE, GWO, PSO, particle swarm optimization, and this is differential evaluation algorithm. So DE. So I have considered all this for the comparison. Or in this comparison, you can see that most of the time HPO is performing better. I'm not talking HPO is performing all time better. For example, function 9, you can see HPO is giving the best result 0, but at the same time GW is also giving 0. Similarly, function 18 also HPO is giving 3, and same time all algorithms means GW, PSO, and D all are able to give the best results here. So I'm not talking about the each function, but mostly you will see the HPO is giving best results on an average on all functions. If you will look on the worst results, so I can say here, yes, in the for worst side, worst results which is coming through the HPO is always better with respect to the all other techniques and like that. Similarly, also I have gone through the standard deviation and average results. And here standard deviation and average I have created by using the 50 trials. Means each function for each technique 50 times and like that. Means here I have 23, so 23 into 50 into 4. So this much time I have gone through all the testing, and then besides this average and standard deviations. And also this is average value of error. What are the error value? So you can see that mostly in the most of the time you will see SPO is giving a better result with respect to the all other techniques. Sometimes you will see the similar results, but most of the functions you will see the better results on SPO. Okay, this is the convergence curve. The red one is HPO. You can see that most of the time you will see HPO is converging on a better result. So all the functions 23 is a minimization function or minimization problem. So always you will see HPO is converging with a good result most of the time. But sometimes you will see all are converging with the same. For example, function number 16, 18, sometimes 17 also. So here all are converging together. But on other functions, you will see SPO is giving a better result. Similarly, average function evaluation algorithms means here the required number of iterations to converge. So here you can see the green one. So according to the 50 trials for each function by using each technique, so SPO is taking less number of iteration to give a better result with respect to all other techniques. So on your screen you can see this. Okay, so on this basis we can say HPU have exploration, exploitation, local avoidance of local minima, convergence, guarantee, and all these promising things we can conclude through this all the test results. And then finally I can we can go with the final implementation of the real problem, because this problem is maximum power point tracking on a moving vehicle, where the vehicles are moving with a high speed and the characteristics are changing. And we have 1 second, and within a second we have to finish, right? So for that purpose, this is the circuit on which I'm going to use this. So in this circuit, you will see this is that algorithm HPO. Here is the input is current and voltage, which are coming from the panel side, and by using this current and voltage, SPO will decide the optimal operating point, and according to that optimal operating point, it will generate the new operating duty cycle, and then this duty cycle will operate the switch. So this is the system. Okay, as I discussed previously also. And during this test, I have considered the 5 patterns. You can see that these are the patterns I have considered for this during this test. In this pattern, you can see this star mark. Star is the GMPP. Our target is to track this star mark, global maximum power points. Rest others are the LMPPs, which are circles, which I have given here, LMPPs. So one LMPP is also here. So like that. And these are the patterns 1 to 5, like that. Okay, this is the simulation result. Through this simulation result, you can see that this simulation result says that the searching time is 0.48 seconds. It means this algorithm is capable to track within within 0.48 seconds. This means 48% time for the searching, and rest 52% time for the full step on the simulation. This is not the experimental result. Okay. I will show also the experimental result and experimentation conclusions also. I will show that. But here Also, I have gone through the parameter tuning because this is metallistic optimization technique. So here parameter is also a very important thing. So here parameter sensitivity is also very important. So how much this is sensitive. So for that purpose, I have taken the three different type of algorithm parameter constant, right? Algorithm constant, you can say like that. So you can see that. So three algorithm constants, so three HPU, and in each case you will see. So most best result is red one. So you can see here it is converging on the zero point 0.4 around, and the most is the green one here. Sometimes here blue one like that means here the worst is 0.6, here this is 0.7, and this is 0.5. Means if someone is not ready to or not capable to tune the parameter, then also this algorithm will give the best result with respect to the all other available solutions. So these things I have tried to show here. Okay, this is searching behavior. I'm coming back on the searching behaviors, and we all know that all the particles will start searching from the different locations, but at the end, all will converge on the peak. So here I try to show the animations. So in these animations, you can see this is our target. So for this target, these are the random during iteration one. During iteration one, these are the random variable positions. So here, these are trying to move. So this is iteration one, iteration 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So you can see that at the 8. So in the 8th iteration, you can see that all is on the close to the global peak, like that. So this is the animated. Through the animation, I've tried to show the behaviors, how these things are working on the simulation side. But this is your experimental result. So on these experimental results, you can see that these are the characteristics. What characteristics I have considered on partial shaded vehicle. So these are those. So you can see these are the red one. So here this is the GMPP. In this situation, the middle one, this is the GMPP, and in this characteristic, this is your GMPP. Means here most right side, middle one somewhere, and here this is the left side. So three type of pattern, not only three, I have considered the five type of pattern. Another pattern is very similar to this, but the magnitude is less and like that. So five type of pattern I considered for that. So this is the simulation result, and on this simulation results you can see that the tracking time is 0.51 second. This is the average tracking time. So here you can say 0.53, 0.67, 0.48, and this is 0.41, and this is your 0.47, and like that. So you can see that how these things are changing, right? So or tracking time means for different time or different pattern, and quickly it is searching. So initially you will see these two numbers are bigger, but after that these numbers are lesser, because after the two iterations here the algorithm have enough idea to expand and convert. So that's why the time is continuously decreasing. Okay, and like that. So you will see out of all those five, the average searching time is 0.51 second. And through this, I can conclude that. So this algorithm uh, is investing 51% time for searching. Rest 49% time you will operate on the full strength. So what will be the impact? I will show that. What is the impact of this 49% time on the full strength? I will show that in a number. Okay. Okay. So also I tested for without setting condition. Maybe on a particular situations no setting. Suppose no setting, then what will happen? So in these situations, again, I go through the different patterns, with different solar radiance and different environmental temperatures. So in these situations, again, this algorithm takes 0.34 seconds only to track, and on the experimental side, this takes 0.37 seconds. So this is the characteristic. When no shading, right? So no shading, then you can see that. And the efficiency will be 99.99. Here again, the efficiency is 99.9. Here again, the confusion word is 99.99 is not panel efficiency. This is MPPT efficiency, or we can say power extraction efficiency. Panel efficiency means the what amount of solar energy or what amount of photons energy is falling on the panel, and the panel is converting those energy into the electrical energy. That is the panel efficiency, which is 18 to 20. And this efficiency means what is the available efficiency, available energy, that is 20%. and how much I am able to extract. That is this. So how much I am able to extract how much with respect to the quantity. So this is always you will see 99, 99.98, and like that. Also in the partial setting condition also you can see the 99.98, 99.97. Also this is 99.99 here. Okay, okay. What is the impact and why this is? I will discuss. Okay, this is without setting condition also. The searching time is 0.37 seconds without setting condition. Also, I've gone through the different comparisons. Inside the comparison, I've gone through the PSO, ant colony, flower population, and HPO. And this, you can see that ant colony is taking the 3.12 seconds, which is extremely fast. We can't use this thing for the vehicles, especially for rooftop. Somehow you can use, but for vehicle we can't go for that because here time is very important. This is flower population 0.77 and this is 0.48 on simulation side. Okay, on the experimental side, ant colony 3.42, flower population 0.83, and HPU is 0.54 second. Okay. One thing I want to say here, during this testing, what are the things I have considered? So first of all, the flower population side. What panel parameters authors have used for this testing? I have used the same algorithm, some same panel parameters, same circuit parameters, same battery rating I have considered. What ratings have considered here? So here the almost I am trying to match the everything on the parameter side. That's so that our conclusion will be fair. Second thing, so tuning FPO. So this flower populations, the author have reported the searching time is 0.85 second. But in my case, on my circuit, it has taken 0.83 second. So I am not tried to manipulate the FPU here and to create the cost. No, author have also reported the same time, same sort tracking time, and we have considered the same situation or same parameter, same circuit for comparison. And on those situation, HPU is giving 0.51 second this time. This time is not on my circuit or my condition and my rhythm parameters. No, this is based on the FPO. Here, ant colony also I have considered on FPO, and all searching in the throughout the comparison is according to the FPO. What the authors have considered here: the rating, voltage, current, power, battery, time, battery, SOC, everything. I have gone through those things and try to work on that so we can compare fairly. Okay, so this is based on that. This is 0.83 and this is 0.851. And in when you will go for the paper, then you will see this is 0.85 according to the authors. But here 0.83. Okay. Also on the efficiency side more or less all are same, but efficiency is not a big issue. The issue is timing here. So finally, on the comparative trajectory, I can say that through this. So on the experimental setup, without shading condition, HPU is giving 0.37, and here you can get the 0.54 second during the partial setting, and this is 0.83. So you can see that through this we can conclude that on each second, on every second, we are going to get the 0.32 second extra time to operate on full strength. 0.32 second, 0.32 on each second. So you can just assume. So in 1 second this is 0.32. In 1 minute, how much is this? Just multiply with 60. In 1 hour, just multiply with another 60, or we can say multiply with 360. So you will see a significant number, significant time interval to operate on a full strength and like that. Okay. Also, I have gone through the European standard test. So this is European standard test means EN 50530 test. So all this European standard EN 50503 test, you can see that here two type of standard are given. The first is static efficiency, another is you will see the dynamic efficiency. And this test is very important for proof your algorithm for commercial users. If your algorithm is able to fulfill the standard you can say timing, then only your algorithm is capable to, or you can say we can use those algorithms for commercial uses here. So this is a static efficiency, and in this static efficiency, the two terms are given. One is European efficiency, another is Californian efficiency. So inside the European efficiency, these are the equation. In this equation, this zeta 5%, zeta 10% means solar radiance 5%, solar radiance 10%, solar radiance 20% with respect to the higher side, or maybe or we can say with respect to the highest one. Highest is 1000 watt per meter square. So solar radiance. So 5% of that means 50 watt per meter square solar radiance. So that time what is the efficiency? Similarly, 10%, similarly 20%. 20% means 20% of 1000 means 200 watt per meter square solar radiance. So that time what is the efficiency? So similarly 30, 50 and 100. Similarly, in the Californian side, again, this is 10%, 20, 30, 50, and 75 and 100. For example, 75 means 75% of 1000 means 750 watt per meter square. So that time, what is your efficiency? Calculate one by one for different condition, different efficiency. Put all those efficiency here. Multiply with the number, multiplying factor. When you will add this multiplying factor, this is 1. So finally, you will get this European static efficiency, and this is Californian static efficiency. Okay, I have also gone through those technique. Then we can see that. So on European efficiency, the efficiency time is 99.61, and Californian efficiency is 0.53 on different solar radiance. For example, 5%, 10, 20, 30, 50, 100. Similarly here 10, 20, 30, 50, 70, 75 and 100, and like that. Okay, so this is that. Similarly for the dynamic efficiency test on European standard EN 5053. So here given the two type of situation, one is low to medium solar radiance variation. So this is 100 to 500. Medium to high is 300 to 1000. You will see that these two type of solar radiance variations means, and in these two type of solar radiance variations, you will see the different ramp, means your solar radiance is changing from 100 to 500 with the slope of 5 watt per meter square per second. And again, the slope will come down with minus 0.5 watt per meter square per second. So like that, it will increase and decrease, increase and decrease. And then you will operate your system and then calculate your efficiency. Okay. So this is the situation. So you can see here, this is the characteristics, or we can say change in solar irradiance, not characteristics, sorry. This is change in solar irradiance according to the EN 5053 standard. So this is low to medium. Up to here, this is low to medium, and here to here, this is medium to high. So like that. And this, in this situation, this is power, voltage, current, and duty cycle on simulation side. Okay, this is experimental one. So you can see here single loop is one slope I considered here and here. So this is that, and here this is 99.221%, and here two slope I consider. This is efficiency 99.17%, and like that, right? So finally, I can conclude that. So these are the final efficiency 99.61, 99.53, 99.2, and this standard says that if your algorithm, according to standard, if your algorithm efficiency is more than 99%, algorithm efficiency is more than 99%, then only you can say your algorithm is suitable for commercial uses, right? So this 99 is not because of me. This is because of the standard also. This standard says that if here this is not 99, someone is 98, it means somewhere we are lagging, and this type of algorithms are not suitable for the commercial uses. Okay, but here we have a good number on the experimental setup, so we can prove that. So we can say that this will go on, right? Okay, so what is the impact of this 0.32 second? If we have this enough time with respect to the available existing solution. Available existing solution is floor population technique. So on that basis, we can say we have 0.327. So enough extra time to operate on that. So if you will think about a daily basis, this is 2.58 seconds. So here daily does not mean 24 hours. Here daily means I consider the only 8 hours, because sun will available from the 7 to 8 hours. So I, on the basis of 8 hours, I consider this 2.56 hour to operate this panel on full strength, full rating also we can say. On yearly basis, you will see this is 934.4 means 934.34 hour extra you will get with respect to the available time. I'm not talking about the total time, I'm talking about the extra benefit with respect to the state of the art technique. Also on the energy side, extra power. So here you will see the 20 to 30% extra power we can extract. We are going to use for 1 hour or maybe for one year. So its energy gap will be around 20 to 30. And this significant amount of energy gap motivates to go for this technique. Okay, finally, through this I can conclude that. So this technique is good for searching, for especially for this type of problem where where the problem is highly dynamic and the timing we have limited. So for that. Okay, thank you. And also, you can use this technique for different purpose also. Also, suppose if you are working in different area, for example, power system, or maybe using for some planning purpose, you can use this area. Thank you. If you have any questions, I will happy to answer.
So thank you, Nishant sir. Thank you very much. So I request all the participants. I invite all the participants. If they have any query, they can directly ask to Nishant sir. If there is any feedback regarding this presentation, they may also present that also. So I also want to see in the chat box also if there is any query. If there is some feedback. The presentation was really very beautiful. It is very much informative. But I didn't find any query in this answer.
Okay. Okay. My mail address is already available in Google. So anyone have any question on any time, so you can write me also. Definitely I will reply. So mail also in future.
Yes, sir. Even sir, you can write your mail ID in chat box if you could do.
Yeah, sure.
If
Yes,
you want to, so that the participants may, if they have any kind of query, they may directly mail to you. Okay, thank you, sir. We have got the mail. Nishant Kumar 8iitj.ac.in. So thank you once again. I formally very much thankful to Dr. Nishant Kumar sir. I'm thankful because you have spared the valuable time with us. The presentation which you have presented that was very useful. I personally think that is really very much informative, starting from the basics of the electrical vehicles and then the human psychological that kind of thing. That was really interesting. So with these words, I once again thank you, and we will meet in maybe in near future for some event at Jodhpur or at Bikaner offline also. So I'm sure we will be there during any such kind of event. So thank you, sir. Thank you, Nishant. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Nishant, sir. Thank you very much. And the next session will start at 12 o'clock. So participants, please be there.
Okay,
thank you very much.